Hello and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 164, although it is appearing before episode 163. I am fairly certain of that fact. So probably you don't care about numbers. I feel like people tell me the numbers on podcasts all the time, and I'm like, whatever. But in case somebody does care about numbers, these are in a numerical order in terms of when they were recorded, but not when they will be published, because the previous or next episode, depending, is still waiting on its song. We're working on it. It's gonna be hot. But meanwhile, we're gonna send this one out into the world. So this episode is inspired by kind of one too many creativity, inspirational thingies. You know, I think after a lifetime of being exposed to this kind of work, like, here's how you access your creativity. Here's how you make a life in the arts, or blah, blah, blah. Like, I just, you reach a saturation point with these kinds of ideas. I feel like I have a series of these coming up. But this one is about finishing things, and that is, in fact, what this is called. It's called Finishing Things. When I first started making things, I thought the hard part of making things was the making of things. I was always reading about people who never wrote their novels or their plays or songs or whatever. From reading all these creativity books, I got the sense that just finishing something would put me ahead of the pack. This sense is often reinforced, even now. Just the other day, I was listening to a podcast about writing, and the guest and the host agreed that 95% of writers don't finish their manuscripts. They made it sound like just by finishing something, you were already well on your way to success. But I've been finishing things my whole creative life, and I'm no closer to the front of the pack than I was when I began. Despite a large body of work behind me, I still feel like I'm running like mad to keep up. I finish things. It's not that special. I've got, just sitting on my hard drive, 4 novels, 6 short stories, 3 children's books, 12 full-length plays, and 8 short ones. There are also a couple of complete series of poems. I finish one of these blogs approximately every 5 days and record a song and podcast for them once a week as well. Given all the hype given to finishing things, I think, early on, I thought a marching band might burst through the wall and play me a congratulatory fight song every time I finished something. But that has yet to happen. In fact, if I want to see any kind of acknowledgement for anything I create, I generally had to create some kind of structure for it for myself. Wanted to see my plays on stage? I had to produce them. Wanted to share my novel for young people with more people than I could read it to at a time? I recorded a podcast of it. Wanted anyone to read my thoughts about struggling artistry or the state of the arts or feminism or whatever? No one would publish such things. I had to start a blog. Part of all this is that I am impatient. I do not want to wait to be discovered. I do not want to wait to submit to all the appropriate authorities or even wait to find out who the proper authorities are. I recognize that my I'll just do it myself impulse is sometimes a block to finding someone to do it for me, and therefore a block to a standard sort of success. Maybe if I were better at submitting and waiting, I might have found some other path after finishing. But waiting is just not my way. Finishing things is. And I guess I feel like I was sold a false bill of goods at some point. Somewhere I got the idea that finishing things would make me so special that success would be more or less guaranteed. It is not. I mean, sure, finishing stuff is important. An unfinished novel, play, screenplay, story, essay, whatever, is for sure going nowhere. But a finished thing can just as easily go nowhere. I guess a lot of people have to believe that the marching band will come in when they finally finish their thing, just to keep them motivated. But I have no such illusion anymore. I know that whatever satisfaction I have at the completion of a work has to come from the work itself and not whatever goodies I imagine it might yield me. I read Marge Piercy's For the Young Who Want to when I was young and wanted to, and her line about work being its own reward has been strong within me ever since. Unfortunately, her poem didn't tell me what to do when I finished something, so I had to work that out for myself. I'll share it with you, in case you need that bit too. Yes, finish something. Then start the next thing. And if you happen to get a marching band, enjoy it. Then start the next thing. So on the blog, there's a link to the Marge Piercy poem. And it just occurred to me that you might want to hear it. I've referenced it in previous blogs. This poem was fairly important to me as a young person. And in fact, I photocopied it and cut it out and pasted it on my guitar case in little chunks where it still lives, although I don't use that guitar case anymore. It's in a closet. But this poem is foundational for me. So I just thought I'd read it to you because since you can't click on it through the blog, I can read it to you now. So here it is, Marge Piercy's For the Young Who Want to. Talent is what they say you have after the novel is published and favorably reviewed. Beforehand, what you have is a tedious delusion, a hobby, like knitting. Work is what you have done after the play is produced and the audience claps. Before that, friends keep asking when you are planning to go out and get a job. Genius is what they know you had after the third volume of remarkable poems. Earlier, they accuse you of withdrawing, ask why you don't have a baby, call you a bum. The reason people want MFAs, take workshops with fancy names, when all you can really learn is a few techniques, typing instructions, and somebody else's mannerisms, is that every artist lacks a license to hang on the wall, like your optician, your vet, proving you may be a clumsy sadist whose fillings fall into the stew, but you're certified a dentist. The real writer is one who really writes. Talent is an invention like phlogiston after the fact of fire. Work is its own cure. You have to like it better than being loved. I'm recording with my ukulele in my lap. Little Dorrit. This is Little Dorrit. So rather than give you the standard Songs for the Struggling Artist intro, outro, I thought I'd give you the little tuning of the ukulele, although the capo is on the first fret, so it is a half step higher than the standard ukulele tuning, if those facts are interesting to you. So what I'm going to do for a song here today is a song by the Sundays. I don't know if there's any other song that was a hit besides this one. I can't even think of another Sunday song. But the song's called Here's Where the Story Ends. And I figured since this is about ending stories of all kinds, it would be the right song to put here. I feel like I get this song in my head fairly often. So I'm glad to be able to sort of look directly at it and learn it. And I'm playing it on the ukulele. So here is the Sundays. Here's Where the Story Ends. I know, places I go make me feel tongue-tied. I can see how people look down there on the inside. Here's where the story ends. People I see weary of me, showing my good side. I can see how people look down, I'm on the outside. Here's where the story ends. Oh, here's where the story ends. It's that little souvenir of a terrible year which makes my eyes feel sore. Oh, I never should have said the books that you read were all I loved you for. It's that little souvenir of a terrible year which makes me wonder why. It's the memories of the shed that make me turn red. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Crazy, I know, places I go make me feel so tired. I can see how people look down, I'm on the outside. Here's where the story ends. Oh, here's where the story ends. It's that little souvenir of a terrible year which makes my eyes feel sore. And whoever would have thought the books that you brought were all I loved you for? Oh, the devil in me said, go down to the shed, I know where I belong. But the only thing I ever really wanted to say was wrong, was wrong, was wrong. It's that little souvenir of a colorful year which makes me smile inside. So I cynically say the world is that way. Surprise, 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 surprise. Here's where the story ends. Oh, here's where the story